Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Gadget Show Live. I found a German.
Yeah, well, one of the few ones.
Yeah, wandering around actually. There's good German representation in the Starcraft 2 tournament. Mr. Thomas Killian, aka Khaldor, happens to be at this tournament, and he's just taking a break, so we thought we'd just sit down for a little while, talk a bit of esports, as opposed to just sort of running commercials and letting you guys wait for the next matchup. And also, we can tell you that the Bling and Soke match was played while that extremely lengthy series was going on, and Soke won. So Bling is out, and Select will now have to play Soke.
Bling could actually have won the second game. He was way ahead. Yeah, they both played basically a 4-gate, and Bling went for Blink as well.
Yeah.
As did Soccer. Blink had it way earlier, and he could have won the game, but he had some really bad micro, and he went up the choke, and Soccer basically just annihilated him after that. But he didn't play too bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's his first major offline event. That's the thing. So he's actually been performing exceptionally well. He's taken wins off, as we say, he knocked Hazorbs out of the tournament, which is a major upset.
I couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
When I saw it, I was like, what the hell happened there?
Well, I mean, I was expecting a 4-gate, but I would have thought that Hazorbs would have held it, surely. You would have thought so, but evidently not.
Yeah, Hazel was also really upset about the game against Select because they talked about the game the whole time, which is really nice, by the way, that all the German players, they talk a lot to each other, especially Soccer and Hazel. So we're talking about the whole tournament for days now. I'm staying in the same hotel as they are, and we are always having some beers in the evening, and they're only talking about the next game, what they could do, and talking strategies and stuff like that. And Hazorbs just wanted to get some Phoenixes, just to force him to walk up the ramp, defend with those, all those Marines, and then just walk in. But he didn't reckon that Select would actually build a Ghost. So that's basically the only thing that fucked up his strategy.
The funny thing is that he's been building Ghosts the entire time. Every single matchup, every TVP, he's built Ghosts, and he's built more than one as well. His EMPs have been amazing all the way through this tournament, so that was a misstep by Hazorbs, certainly. Yeah,
I have to admit that I didn't watch many of the games, as I am on one of the other halls right now doing some promotion stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, Soccer was, Hazorbs was a little bit upset about that, because besides that point, everything went really well for him. But the EMP actually hit two of his, he had 4 sentries, as he told me, he had 2 sentries, and his plan was just to walk in, kill those bunkers, and just trap the Marines on top of the ramp by using some force fields. He used 1 Guardian Shield with one of his sentries, and then he had only 1 force field left, which just wasn't enough to keep Select in his base. And
ouch!
Yeah, after those Bio units just streamed down the ramp, it was basically over.
Yeah, Select's been on fire this entire tournament. He really, really has. He's been showing his skill and showing his variety of play as well. Obviously failing against Naniwa, so he gets knocked out of the winner's bracket, but he still has a chance. He's up against Soke, which should be an epic encounter. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, and you're probably really happy that you don't have to see another Protoss versus Protoss right now.
Well, for the time being, Soke might win it, in which case it's a PvP final, and it's going to be 2 best-of-3s. So 1 best-of-3 will have to be won by the winner of the winner's bracket final. 2 will have to be won by the winner of the loser's bracket final going into the Grand. That's going to be the way that it's set up. So that's going to be pretty brutal. I don't know, I think Select has a good chance against Soke. He has beaten him in the group stages before, so he is an exceptional player. As we've seen, they're both exceptional players. I mean, everyone here is. It's the thing about such a small tournament. We've got such a lot of talent in a small, concentrated space.
Yeah. Soka's actually quite happy about facing Select. He didn't want to face Naniva because he says Protoss versus Protoss is just a matchup he's not really comfortable with. And he got a reputation of being a really good Protoss versus Protoss player. He himself doesn't think that he's good in this matchup, and he reckons that his reputation mostly comes from beating Huck all the time in Protoss versus Protoss. So right now he's really happy facing Select. And he didn't want to face Show. He prefers Select over Show, as he doesn't like timing push. And Select is more concentrated on his micro and doesn't use timing push that much. So, well, Soka is really preferring Select over Naniva, but still Select playing really good this tournament so far.
Amazing.
Think Soka has his work cut off for him.
Yeah, I like the fact the production team just remotely turned off the light, considering we have 2 bald guys right now sitting on the stream right now. Thinning, receding, male pattern baldness, and of course Khaldor, who needs no hair. He's a reverse Samson. The more hair he has, the weaker he gets. It's kind of terrifying that way. So I've been told. Yeah, as he claims, like, just shut up, TotalBiscuit. Talking out your ass as always. We're just sort of filling time right now in between these games. We will be bringing you Soke v Select quite shortly. We're not getting any sign of that just yet. Bear in mind that obviously we're running this tournament and we have to do it before the end of the day, but we are well ahead of schedule at the moment, cracking through it very rapidly. It's mostly because Naniwa keeps killing people so fast.
Yeah, definitely.
It's problematic.
And we have been talking about the matchups, and one match, Soccer, for example, he played against Idra as well, and they were talking about what the players should do. And we're just bullshitting around with strategies all the time, and I came up with a brilliant strategy in a Protoss matchup. What you could do, I mean, it's just playing mind games all over again. It's not the simple Nexus cancel.
Yeah.
You go Nexus cancel into Nexus. That should be brilliant.
Indeed. Yo, dog, I heard you like Nexus.
Nexus cancel into Nexus, and then you can cancel it again. This is a triple mind game.
Yeah, yeah. I could just see that happening.
Soko was just talking earlier on about a match he played versus Dark Force, and he actually pulled. I didn't know exactly what he did. But when the Overlord scouted, apparently he pulled all his drones off gas in order to lure Dark Force into thinking he's going for Korean Forgate with only Zealots, and pull them back in. Dark Force just didn't react, didn't do anything at all, and Soko lost the game. And after that, he asked him, "Why the hell didn't you react to what I was doing? I was playing mind games with you the whole time."
Yeah.
And Dark Force was like, "Oh well, I just didn't give a shit."
I have no idea what's going on right now. Not a clue. Oh my, oh my.
Yes. So mind games don't always work.
Not always. Not always. I wish that they did, but hey, sometimes, just sometimes they fall flat. Yeah, it's been a great tournament so far. Really, really enjoyable, honestly. I've enjoyed pretty much every game, with the exception of a couple of 4 gateways, although Naniwa does it in style. Like, he doesn't just do a 4-gate. His 4-gate is terrifying. On Tal'Dorei Malta, he dumps down the pylon behind the mineral line. He does the first 4-gate push. He just walks past the bunkers. And, of course, Selector's not walled off. And he doesn't have his SCVs there quick enough to stop it. And then he warps in a second wave directly into the mineral line, which is
actually a really, really smart thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, it bypassed the main strength of Select's defenses, which was the 2 bunkers. So he was forced to bail out the bunkers. And then, of course, Marines unupgraded versus Stalkers with no bunkers is a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, and that's one thing that, for example, Sok and Hazos were talking about a lot, because the show and Naneva, lately they tend to get their upgrades a little bit later. They tend to focus on just barracks with Marines, and they don't get an add-on for their barracks as well. Yeah. So their stim is quite late, as is the combat shield, for example. So they were all the time thinking about how they could try to force the Terran player to fight earlier on. And this is basically really brilliant what Naneva did right there. Yeah. Because normally if you have 2 bunkers in front of the Terran base, you just think, oh my god, I just can't approach, the bunkers are too strong.
Yeah, can't break it.
But he just sacrificed 2 units and is in the mineral line of his opponent.
Yeah. And Select is now wishing he built 3 bunkers. Or at least it does at the supply depot or something. Something to just stop that. And I suppose that's... a lot of players don't really think about that versus Protoss. It's more of a Zerg thing. I've got to think about where the Zerg's going to be and what the Zerg can actually get past. Because, of course, if the Zerg gets into the line with Zerglings or whatever, and because the first basic units of the Zerg are always so either they're melee or they're very short range. You've got Roaches, range 4, and then you've got Zergling, which are obviously melee range. So the very common early game units are going to be restricted by placement of buildings. But with Protoss, you don't think about that so much because Stalkers have quite reasonable range, sentries, of course, as well. But in that case, actually, a Wall of really would have benefited in there.
Yeah. In general, Sok and Hazos are not too keen on playing that matchup because they really have some problems against Terran at the moment, especially against really good Terrans. And they've been talking a lot about that. Terran should make some more use about some unit combinations, which I won't reveal right there because they would kill me. And yeah, basically we're going on the whole time, okay, well, those players from this race and that race are just too stupid to do that, and that's why they lose. And they were like, and if you tell somebody, we will kill you. And,
yes, do not reveal the German secrets. It's not allowed. You cannot do that. No.
What is really funny, and they admitted finally that Protoss is overpowered against Zerg. I was really happy to get that. I was like, oh well, finally.
Yeah,
finally
somebody
actually
said that.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
wasn't Idra and half the Team Liquid forums. Like, no, we actually believe you now. You know, really, there is something that needs to be done about it.
A Protoss player finally admitted being overpowered against
Zerg. A single Protoss guy in Gold League. 2 Gold League Protoss players. No, real players, folks, real players. It just needs Blizzard to admit that right now, and then we'll be in real business, won't we? I think they sort of half admitted it in their fake patch notes for April Fools.
Soccer, by the way, had a really nice idea about the Mules, because Mules are one unit that all the players keep complaining about, well, except for the Terrans,
Except
obviously.
for Terran, I love them.
And Soccer had a really nice suggestion, because a lot of people were talking about just in introducing timers, like with the Queen and their abilities, into the Mule counting, but he said, What would make a lot more sense is, for example, if you just limit the range where you can actually spam a mule, so that a mule is limited to the command center where it's casted from.
Okay.
And that is not too bad, because then you would avoid that Terran player is just taking gold and is immediately calling down 5 or 6 mules, and his income just went to goes
It's
to
not a bad
3,000.
idea, isn't it? Because of course, if they want to call down multiple mules, they'd be forced to bring them over from the other, and that would waste the timer in the process.
Exactly.
It's not bad.
It's brilliant, actually.
Yeah,
I mean,
I absolutely hate it because I'm a Terran player, but still.
You could still use it early on, and you could just get a mule, for example, call it down on your main base, and just walk the mule over to the expansion because the distance are not too far.
Yeah.
But you would totally avoid the Terran player just abusing mules on gold expansions.
Completely saturating the gold, yeah absolutely.
So that idea actually is not too bad, and it would force the Terran, it would make scan a lot more, well, accessible later on as well, as your mineral lines get depleted and you might not want to move your orbital command to another location, so we'll just use the energy for scans a lot more.
Yeah.
So that idea was really, really nice, and I would love if Blizzard would toy around with that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely, and I hope they completely ignore it.
Well,
never mind. That's. Don't worry. I don't talk about balance. Funny thing is, I actually got interviewed by Gadget yesterday, who's one of the esports sites who are covering this event, and they say, "Oh, we want to talk about balance." Like, whoa, you know, yeah. Let's just.
I have a brilliant suggestion for balance, by the way, in order to make Zerg a little bit more competitive.
Yeah.
You could just introduce that units that are on Blight, Protoss units as well as Terran units,
I'm sorry,
get damage over
time. Say Blight? You said Blight, didn't you?
Okay, Warcraft 3.
Bloody Warcraft 3 players.
Okay, sorry. But on creep that you can just get damage over time. I think that's a brilliant idea. And I can already see the fast tech to the lair and then mass overlords into the enemy's base and just kill all the SMEs.
That is the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. Why would you do something like this? That's horrible.
I would love it. Oh my god, he's going mass overlords. I can't believe it.
Oh yeah, I'm glad that Khaldor's here to talk about balance. You have to just put him in the bloody interview, seriously. And it's like, oh, we'd like to talk about balance. I have this sort of very democratic approach to balance. And as in, I try and avoid talking about, well, balance is very important, obviously. And you just go into all these little platitudes and then you never actually answer the interview questions. Well, some players believe that the force field restricts micromanagement, and you're just sort of wringing your hands in the process, like, no. Like, I don't want to talk about this. Can we just sort of segue into something else? It's the politician's answer. That's all it is. I don't like talking about balance because every time I mention the word balance, somebody just brings up my league ranking. I was like, yeah, you have a point. You have a point.
What is your league ranking, by the way?
Platinum. I'm a mid-plat player right now. It's not good.
You want to play a show game?
Certainly not right now. Not on one computer. I don't think we have split screen. This is not Starcraft 64. I'm sorry. We should play a little bit of that. But I think a show game between us would be amusing, and I think you'd crush me. But yeah,
that's the only reason why I suggested it.
Yes, well, at least
you are not Protoss, are you?
No, I'm not Protoss.
Okay,
Although I can play Protoss.
I've
got a mean
no show
game
for you.
Sort of,
No.
I play Terran. I can do battle cruisers. It's pretty awesome. Works
yeah,
quite well.
I love that Select was going for battle cruisers, and I was really a little bit surprised. I mean, there are some players that introduced battle cruisers later on in the match after the patch, but so far I really haven't seen that many players go for battle cruisers.
Yep. I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't go for weapon upgrade on that, because obviously it would have helped the Vikings out an awful lot as well against those Colossi. It was a very Colossi heavy force. He built the battle cruiser, as far as I can tell, in response to a mass of Zealots, which makes sense, obviously. I mean, those things tear through light armored units like that. The problem is, without any weapons upgrades, versus the armor of the Zealots, bear in mind it was about 25 minutes through the game, so armor was at least at level, I think it was at least level 1, possibly 2 by that point. It got to the point where it's like, well, you're not going to do a lot of damage, because here's the thing about battle cruisers, they fire very quickly and they do little damage, so they can be countered very hard by armor upgrades, but if you upgrade the weapons on them, then they're really dangerous. The thing is, I think it's because he got them scouted and he didn't build any more after that. He just rolled in 2 and
only
it wasn't
saw the last
effective.
minutes of the game. But they would, for example, be already as really useful in Terran versus Terran 2, if not for the range of the Vikings. If Vikings would, for example, have one range less, which is actually one thing that Protoss wants as well, in order to protect those Colossi, then you could play a lot more with battle cruisers, because right now the speed of they are roughly at the same speed, and you would have they're so easy to kite the battle cruisers with Vikings, as the range is just so much superior. So I think Blizzard will probably tweak a little bit around in the last.
Needs more Yamato cannon. Needs more Yamato cannon. Seriously, That's what people keep telling me when I do a fast battlecruiser rush in TBT because I hate TBT. So either it's going to end one of two ways. Either I'll win in 10 minutes or I'll lose in 10 minutes, as opposed to 30-minute tank wars, which I just cannot stand. Do a fast battlecruiser and it's like, hey, let's get a Yamato cannon, and if they don't see it coming, they start building Vikings. As soon as a Viking pops up, it gets Yamato down immediately. It works fairly well, but we don't see Yamato in pro play because they're not terrible.
What, for example, Rainbow did. Rainbow did against Zerg a fast battlecruiser play, which is not too. It wasn't in the old patch already. Yeah. It's not too bad, but the main thing is that if a queen is on creep, you can basically kite the battlecruiser the whole time. But with the new speed, I'm not too sure about if you really could. So a fast battlecruiser plays against Zerg is definitely not a standard strategy, but it might be something to use occasionally, depending on the situation and especially on the spawn positions. So I would really like to see that again, because Rainbow was fairly successful with that strategy, even though it wasn't the old patch where the battlecruisers were way slower.
Oh yeah. Battlecruisers are starting to come into the metagame, which is good.
Yeah.
You know? We like the battlecruisers, certainly, or it needs something that will actually make carriers come into the metagame. It's just not happening right now.
Too expensive.
Well, yeah, they don't do the job. Their role seems to be eclipsed by other units.
And it just takes ages to build them. They are so gas heavy. And you need all those upgrades as well. So it's just a late game unit, if so at all.
Yeah, yeah. We actually had a Protoss matchup that went on to 40 minutes, and we said, please build carriers or something. It's like, no carriers, no mothership. It's like, oh. But then again, you can't really blame them for not building those units, can you? I mean, the mothership is limited in terms of its usefulness, and honestly, when it comes down to carriers, I'm not going to, again, I don't want to talk about balance because I'm terrible, but seriously, nobody's using carriers for a reason. It's not some misunderstood unit, it's just bad. Yeah. That's why nobody uses them.
As are Ultralisks.
Yeah, well, I read the carrier thread actually on TL as well, just while they say, carriers just sort of misunderstood, and the overwhelming response was, no. And here's the maths behind it. This is why they're rubbish. But interceptors are so cheap. But add it up, and how many interceptors you end up losing. These things cost a blinking fortune. And then, of course, don't even get me started if the carrier gets caught out of position and gets ripped apart. Like, well, that was a waste, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you can sometimes use them against Terran, but once again, Vikings with that amount of range are just too good against any air units if you have a decent amount of them.
Yep,
because you can kite everything.
Yep. Unfortunate. Sorry, Protoss, you don't get to use one of your end-game units. It's not allowed. Or if you do, you'll lose.
Well, it's actually quite funny that every race is just bitching about the other races being overpowered. But right now, I feel that really Protoss is in a quite nice situation. I mean, you have a Protoss player winning the IM, for example. Naniva might win this event. We had MC winning the GSL. Then what was the other thing? MLG as well.
Yeah,
so right now, Protoss players are winning nearly every tournament. And, well, might make you wonder.
It is something to consider. We are looking like we might see a Protoss winning this, but Select is still in, so it is a possibility.
So is Soccer.
Yep, Select is going to have to beat Soccer in order to get into it. We may see a PvP final.
Yep.
And I think that you'll see a lot of people groan at that concept again. Oh, it's another PvP. How adorable. Then again, this tournament was stacked in the favor of Protoss anyway, and it was just because we had some no-shows, really. I mean, Goody was supposed to be here. He would have certainly put out a great showing for the Terran, and he wasn't here. He was sick, so he couldn't turn up. Insolence was Protoss, so we don't really care about him. But, we like Insolence, don't get me wrong, but yeah. No Grim.
I actually got his pass.
Ah.
I could have played.
Huh. Absolutely. Yes.
I can pull off a 4-gate, for God's sake.
That's his name, is it? That's Insolence's name?
Yeah, that's his card.
Oh, there you go. Yep, now I know. We're not going to tell you that on
They forgot about me when it was about the passes, and so I just got the card of Insolence, which is quite nice.
Multi-pass.
I'm taller, though.
yeah, you can get away with it, certainly. What is it with short Protoss players, man?
What do you mean short Protoss player? Have you seen Idra?
He's not that tall. Right? To be fair, you do loom over people. Right?
No, I'm not that tall.
Well, you're sort of taller than most Protoss players. That's the point.
Yeah, well.
I don't know what it is about Protoss players. They just tend to be, fairly short. Naniwa's not all that tall either, really.
I think Terran players are the tallest, aren't they?
Select looms quite a bit, certainly.
Tarson?
Yeah, definitely. Of course, you've got some very scary players. I suppose you can then look at In Control and say, well, okay, maybe not. It's like, okay, he's not short. And
I'm really sure I cannot run him.
It's a possibility. I don't know. You know, that's 500 pounds of pure muscle right there.
I mean, as soon as he gains momentum, I will be in a lot of trouble. But
it's a charging bull. You just don't stop it once it starts on there. Yes, end control can be terrifying sometimes, certainly. I like the IGN Pro League actually has a set of cartoons, these little images that they've put up there, and they're all very nice. And In Control is... It's like his cartoon should be 3 times larger than everybody else's. It's just this giant bear. That's basically what it is. It's just a bear.
Do you know this MLG picture where In Control is sitting right next to Idra?
Yeah.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. I love it.
Well, you saw the one that keeps popping up on State of the Game where he's got Idra as a hand puppet on his team right there. Oh, dear Lord. Yeah. In Control is a very scary individual.
I'm shiny again.
The light is back. Excellent. Yes, shining off the... the lack of hair. Hair is for the weak, folks. Baldness is a sign of virility, so I've been told.
Sign of testosterone.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, needless to say, we've been talking now for probably about 10 to 15 minutes, and we haven't got a game yet, so we're trying to just keep you entertained for the time being, but also going out on the monitors out there. So people must be quite confused as to why we're actually here. We're on the monitors outside of the Alienware booth if you want to come and watch, if you happen to be at the Gadget Show. Of course, if you're at the Gadget Show and you're not by the monitors, you're not hearing us. But if you have friends that are at the Gadget Show, let them know to pop by the Alienware booth. You will see the pros out there, and of course, you will also see us on the PA system going out to all the wonderful men, women, and children who are unaware of the presence of Starcraft 2. We are the ambassadors. That means Starcraft 2 is doomed.
My main problem right now is that we're doing promotion as well in one of the other halls.
Yeah.
And the main thing in the booth that I'm doing promotion at is from part of Mousesports, and the main problem is it's in the wrong hall. Basically, the whole audience in the other hall doesn't give a shit about gaming, and I'm just sitting there the whole time, and nobody cares. I'm like, okay, damn. I want to go back. I want to cast a tournament.
Yeah.
Can't help it. That's how it is.
Unfortunate. Yes.
But I'm pretty sure I will be able to convince at least some of them. Some of the young kiddos over there will be future Starcraft programmers.
I'm sure they certainly will. Yep.
I'm encouraging them the whole time.